Hello guys, welcome to a new episode of my game development. So this time I made some major improvements. Our player now has a jetpack and we can aim and shoot now. We can even switch weapons. And you can see this recoil and there's even a shotgun that we can use. Also, our player can manipulate gravity. She can just pull something and release that and use that to hit some enemies, which I think is pretty cool. I'll get deeper in that in a second. Let's first take a look at the shooting system. We have 3 different weapons, that is the pistol, the submachine gun, and also the shotgun. If I press 1, so all the weapons are condensed. So all the weapons use the same model. So basically it's not actually 3 weapons, but it's like switching between 3 different firing mode of the weapon. So if I press 1, I'm in the pistol mode. So if I press now, you can see the pistol has a recoil. And that if I stop shooting, the recoil goes down. And also if I shoot like 10 bullets, then the magazine is off and we go to reload. And then after reload, we can shoot again. Same thing happens to the submachine gun. But this one has a magazine of 30 ammo and it has automatic fire mode. For the shotgun, it has even higher recoil and it shoots 20 bullets in one time. Let's take a look at the code that I use. First, let's look at how I achieved the reload animations. So if you go to the scene view here, you'll see the player is now aiming or reloading when it's doing regular because the rig for the IK constraint of reloading is set to 0. If I increase the weight, then you see the player's hand is going somewhere. But recently the script is restricting it from going, that's why you can see the jittery movement here. But basically if you increase the weight to 1 inside the script, then it just goes, it just reaches to the weapon, then your hand just reaches the weapon and you achieve reloading. Now let's take a look at the code that achieves the shooting function. So basically this is for selecting weapon. When you press different number key on your keyboard, you switch to different weapons. And this is for shooting of the pistol. So if you press your mouse button, a quarantine is started, which is responsible for shooting a single bullet. So this is the quarantine. So the way I shoot this bullet is that I instantiate a bullet, a prefab of a bullet, and add force to the bullet so that it just goes away. So it's a regular physical bullet. And then I wait for some time until the next bullet can be fired. This is the enumerator for reload. So this is basically lerping the weight. So as you can see from the IK component, the higher the weight, the more the player's hand is reaching toward the gun. So what I did is I increased the weight from 0 to 1 and then decrease it from 1 to 0, so that the player's hand reach for the gun and goes back to resting position, which is kind of a reloading animation. Okay, the rest is the shooting of the submachine gun and the shooting of the shotgun, which is pretty similar. One thing that's pretty interesting is that for the shotgun, I instead of just instantiating 1 bullet here, you instantiate 20 bullets and give them some random motion in X and Y direction so that not all the bullets are concentrated to the 1 point, but they just like separate to different points, like a regular shotgun. Let's take a look at how I achieve the weapon recoil. So basically the way I do that is when I was calculating the camera rotation, I give it some offset in the Y offset value. So every time I shoot, if you refer to the player shoot script, this is when I shoot a bullet, and this is a code to add the offset. So every time I shoot one bullet, I add some offset to the offset variable. But if I only do that, then the camera is only going up like in a really upward fashion. So to make it more linear and to make the offset return to 0, I use this code here. I use this line of code here, which is basically just lerping the position, like the value of offset, to a targeted offset reference, which is just 0. So every time it goes to the top, it's lerping back to 0. And if you look at the game, that's exactly what just happened. So every time I shoot, I gain some offset. And the offset is slowly returning to 0 point. So the offset is above 0 now, and now it's back to 0. Now let's look at how we achieve this really cool gravity gun effect. So let's first take a look at the code that I achieved this. So first of all, if the code detects that you press the key E down, then it assigns a target, which is the rigid body where you're aiming at, which is the object that you want to pull through. And basically it's all achieved here. So this is the code when you pull this object. So you're basically lerping from the object position where the object is at to an object holder, which is a game object that was just right in front of the player. And we just move this object to where the right in front of the player. And then after we release that, we add some force to that in the direction of where you're aiming. So actually that's pretty simple. Now let's take a look at how it works in the game. So if I press E, it goes towards the object holder right in front of me. And if I release that, it goes into a direction where I'm aiming. Another thing that I made is that when you press E, your character will have this hand movement, which means that she's grabbing an object, and when I release E, she will just release this object and release the hand movement. So how do I achieve this hand gesture? That's actually the same thing as the way that I do reloading. So basically I turn the weight to 1, and that's when her hand is fully forward. After that, I set it to 0, and this is basically the rest position of her hand. Okay, one last thing I want to mention is the jetpack of the player. So if you look at it, this is a flame that was constantly going down, and it's always the flame is always pointing downwards, to make it look real. And also, if I going forward, then there will be flame going to the back of the character. And if I want to go to the left, then it will be flame going to the left. And if I want to go to the right, then flame will direct to the left. So how do I achieve that? That's pretty easy to do that. I just need a code called jetpack, and so basically this one detects the input of your AWSD button, and if you try to go forward vertical higher than 0, then it will play the flame that was going into the back, the visual effect. And if you want to go to the left, then we'll do the left flame. If you want to go to the right, then we'll do the right flame. And also I use this one to achieve a flame that was always pointing downward, so that the movement of the jetpack is reasonable.